Hey, hey, what is up, spiritual hooligan? Has it ever occurred to you that the structure of your life, actually disrupts your peace and makes it hard for you to stay in your enlightened state? It puts you into a survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you get reactive and fearful. So suddenly you have stress or worry or doubt or anger or whatever. But these emotions debilitate you and they rob you of your peace. So I've got 8 keys to fearless living, and today is the 6th of 8 daily enlightenment segments that will help you to connect with enlightened perspectives. And when you do that, you're on your way to fearless living. My name is Matthew Ferry, and I'm bringing you your daily enlightenment. It's your moment to pause, to slow down, to get connected to enlightened perspectives. I want to help you to quiet your mind and restore your peace. Fearless living. It's an expression of enlightenment. When you see that the source of life within you is the source of life for everyone and everything, when you see that, you take this deep breath in, and you know that all is well. Your mind goes quiet. Fear disappears. You become very pragmatic. The stress, the overwhelm, the sadness, the fear of the future, all those things fade to the background. So today is number 6 in this series of 8 keys to fearless living, and we're going to talk today about creating structure. Now look, to be fearless, you must enter into the enlightened state, the enlightened perspective that all is well. Now in my world, you do that by implementing the rapid enlightenment process that I talk about in my book, Quiet Mind, Epic Life, which helps you to resolve the illusion that you matter, that you're important. Those are illusions. And because of those illusions, or delusions, you create conflict for yourself. There's an urgency, a false urgency that you're experiencing. But here's the thing. You can go into this state of knowing that you don't matter and knowing that your life is not important, but you still live in the world. And the world is not designed for that enlightened perspective. Specifically, it's not designed for that. It's more designed for pride and arrogance and importance and valuing things. And so you live in a place where survival perspectives rule the world. To maintain your peace, your joy, your flow, which is at the heart of fearless living, you must shift the world around you so that you reduce the drag, you reduce the resistance, you reduce the fight, the against energy. To do that, you actually have to employ structure. You have to create structures. So creating structures is really about creating conditions so that your vision for an easy, effortless, enjoyable, flowing life, an all is well life, can come true. So it's like this: enlightened, knowing that all is well; prosperity, living well. Living well doesn't mean having a lot of money. It means being in a great state, having an amazing experience. That has a lot to do with the configuration of what's going on in your world. So I want you to consider this idea. Most spiritual traditions cause you to get extremely out of balance in society. A spiritual person without structure, process, procedure, workflow, effective configuration, external integrity, right? So the spiritual person is working on internal integrity. The external integrity, the functionality of your work, your world, is absolutely imperative. Because if things are malfunctioning out there in the world, it disturbs your peace. So now you've done all this work to go into a state of peace, but you live in a world that is constantly disrupting you. You got to do both if you want to stay in the world. So the typical spiritual initiate is out of balance because they haven't implemented structure in the world. They're what I typically call a spiritual derelict. Phenomenal at being spiritual. Really crappy at operating in the world. So today I want you to think about structure. And structure is literally the systems, procedures, processes, workflows, the different accountability structures that you have, the ones that are implied, the ones you actually set up, the ones you set up that don't feel good, the ones that you need to cancel, right? There's a lot of stuff going on here. What monitoring you're doing, what groups you're a part of, what conversations you're in, that's all structure. Fearless living will come from a very specific configuration of your life. And when I say specific, not a configuration that I invent, configuration you invent. Your results up until this point in your life, meaning the degree to which things are working for you, have to do with the configuration of your life. So I got a question for you. What is missing in your life right now? That if it was present, you would just be like, all is well in my world. What's been missing in your life? See, habits are one thing that you could be thinking about, because habits are the glue of your existence. They're sort of the interworking, the functioning of your environment. Personal habits, right? Physical body, diet, exercise, hygiene, how you dress, your mannerisms. You got communication habits, your language, your adaptability. You have mental habits, the thoughts that go round and round and round in your head, right? The thoughts in general, they keep you stuck or they move you forward. Thoughts can distract you with unimportant and crazy things. We've talked about that a lot in the Daily Enlightenment. But you also have relationship habits. Those are your habitual interactions with other people, and they can either keep you stuck in a malfunctioning state, or you can move forward into a more graceful way of living based on the habits you have in your relationships. There's also emotional habits, how you respond and how you react. That determines your experience. It also determines how the world's reacting and responding to you. So I want you right now to maybe just pause the video, pause the audio, and will you just write down a few habits right off the bat that you know degrade you and put you into an against state or a survival state or an out of balance state. So now let's talk about willpower, because people think, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my willpower to change the world. And that's not the way it works. Structure is what changes your world, not willpower. Willpower is a myth, okay? Most people don't know how to sustain the changes that they make. So maybe you read my book, Quiet Mind, Epic Life, and you begin the practices of recontextualization or working on the drunk monkey or the hidden motives or adopting enlightened perspectives. Those are the 4 components. But it doesn't last. And it doesn't last because structure is what creates and sustains change. And this is what Kristen and I are really committed to this. We are in the middle, at the time of this Daily Enlightenment, we're in the middle of creating our Center for Rapid Enlightenment, or the Rapid Enlightenment Center. I don't know. I can't remember what we're calling it. But here's what you need to know. The structure is what we're trying to create for people, because we know that being able to live in an enlightened framework is not an easy task, not a foregone conclusion in a world that is designed for survival. So we're in the middle of thinking through what are all the structures that we can help people to create so that they can maintain these 4 things that we talk about: seeing the unconscious reflexes of the drunk monkey, being able to release and heal the imbalances of the hidden motives, being able to bust their own dogma and embrace enlightened perspectives, and to recontextualize everything so that all is well. Structures create consistency in the face of survival consciousness, in the face of your world, in the face of your moods, in the face of failure, in the face of all the other stuff that would oppose you taking this on. Now, in some cases, structure is related to skill. So if you look into your world, you're trying to create an easy, effortless, and enjoyable environment. There might actually be some skills that you don't have That if you take on the skill specifically, it'll help your world, it'll help you do well. That's really what it is, right? So enlightenment, all is well. Prosperity, do well. So sometimes you have to look into your world and get really practical. Is there some skills that are missing that if I take these skills on, it'll just even things out, everything will get a little easier for me? One of the skills that I would recommend that you take on then is recontextualization. And that's the skill of describing the conditions and the circumstances of your life in a way that creates an empowering reality for you. But structure can also be about discipline and accountability. And a lot of people think that discipline is something that you invoke upon yourself. Actually, discipline is something that you create in the environment. You actually adjust and change the environment so that discipline is the natural outcome. Ultimately, you can only do what you have structure in place for. So for example, you wouldn't be brushing your teeth today if your parents didn't every single morning, every night, just on you. Did you brush your teeth? Did you brush your teeth? Did you brush your teeth? And then think about how many years of them doing that before it actually just became a part of who you are. So you want to just keep that in mind. It's not like you're turning the ship, doink, tomorrow. We're in a process here. I'm in a process with you. My objective is to get you to a place where you're living with enlightened frameworks on a regular basis. What disciplines are missing in your life that if they were present, your life would be an expression of all is well? What accountabilities do you need to put into your life that if they were present, you could improve the disciplines, you could improve the ease and the grace and the flow in your life? But then there's conversations. Conversations also create structure. There might be some conversations that are in place that when you start to talk about you have a goal to be at peace with how life is, the people around you are like, well, what about the gossip? What about the bad mouthing? What about the complaining and bitching that we've been doing about the government, right? I mean, your environment's like, wait a second, what about all this stuff? So the conversations might be missing. So what conversations are missing in your life that if they were present, you could be in that all is well, easy, effortless, flowing state? What do you say that takes you off track? What do you need to say that you haven't been saying? Because maybe you've been hiding things. You've been in some kind of traitor mode. So I want you to just think about all the things that I've said today, and that's my question. What stuck out for you? What structures are you going to create so that you can activate your fearless living? Leave me a comment below. I really want to know. My name is Matthew Ferry, author of Quiet Mind, Epic Life, and I request, as usual, that you like this video. If you watched it all the way through here, if you listened all the way through here, like this, please. Share it with the other people in your life. Comment. Those are extremely valuable currencies in a social platform that spread messages. Help me to spread this message. Subscribe to my channel. I put out a new daily enlightenment every day. And come join us over at the Spiritual Hooligans Facebook group. We would love to be chatting with you about these ideas. Thanks again for tuning in to this daily enlightenment.